Fans, as we continue tag team competition with the 2025 Memphis Million winner, Mr. Ringside Eddie Gunz, his brother El Jefe Ray Gunz, facing the excellence of execution, Bret the Hitman Hart, and Jim the Anvil Neidhart, the Hart Foundation.
They say Eddie Gunz has got a new attitude.
This next tag team match is scheduled for one fall with a 20-minute time limit. Approaching the ring at a combined weight of 477 pounds, from the Bronx, New York, Mr. Ringside Eddie Gunz and El Jefe Ray Gunz, the Gunz brothers.
Well, perhaps new theme music, but the same appearance and attitude of Mr. Ringside and El Jefe, the Gunz brothers. And El Jefe very proud of his brother Eddie for having picked up that win in the 2025 Memphis Million, and the Gunz family dynasty has certainly been profiting off of that Memphis Million win. And Eddie Gunz still has that Memphis Million contract briefcase, still good for almost the rest of the year, and he still hasn't put it to use yet, wondering when he ever will.
That's a good question. I'd like to know that myself. But he's hanging on to it, so who can say?
Their opponents at a combined weight of 505 pounds, from Calgary, Alberta, Canada, Bret the Hitman Hart, and from Reno, Nevada, Jim the Anvil Neidhart, the Hart Foundation.
Bret and the Anvil coming in off a recent win, and they're going to try and get another one tonight against Eddie and Ray. And Bret the Hitman Hart and Jim the Anvil Neidhart definitely not fond of the Gunz brothers, and they equally, in turn, are not fond of the Hart Foundation either.
This one's cute to my eye because of the serious hate between Mr. Ringside and the Hitman. Eddie's called Bret Hart a crybaby and a chronic complainer, even calls him Mr. Salty. Now, of course, Bret didn't appreciate those remarks. And what do you suppose the man did? He complained. What else?
Christy, that was good.
El Jefe Ray Gunz and Jim the Anvil Neidhart starting out in this match with Charles Lacera sounding the bell. Off we go. Jim the Anvil Neidhart catches a kick to the midsection, a couple of chops across the chest from El Jefe, up against the ropes, pitched over the top rope, out onto the floor goes Ray Gunz. Jim the Anvil Neidhart turns his attention to Mr. Ringside, who counters with a forearm. The Anvil goes right back on Ray Gunz, but catches a kitchen sink knee to the gut. El Jefe walks up with the Anvil, gets a hold of him, takes him down to the canvas, and snaps the leg. He is working on that figure four leg lock for later, I guarantee it. Mr. Ringside, Mr. Memphis Million comes on in. Jim the Anvil Neidhart still laid out from El Jefe's attack, as Mr. Ringside locks in a heel hook stretch. Mr. Ringside Eddie Gunz, certainly with a new attitude since winning the 2025 Memphis Million. Here's a pin, 1, 2, but no. Jim the Anvil Neidhart getting the shoulder up. A right, a hard right, an elbow to the chest, and a DDT from Mr. Ringside. The Anvil quickly back up, charges, misses his grapple. Mr. Ringside slams the Anvil's head face first into the canvas, takes himself to the top turnbuckle. El Jefe getting out of the way. There's a knee right to the chest of the Anvil. And here comes El Jefe Ray Gunz again. Jim the Anvil Neidhart laid out near the Gunz brothers' corner. El Jefe flips him over and drives the knee right into the canvas. El Jefe again slamming the face of Jim the Anvil Neidhart into the mat. El Jefe Ray Gunz gets a hold of the Anvil, smashes his head into the buckle again, but he counters, catches a cheap shot from Mr. Ringside. El Jefe goes behind on the Anvil, gets him up, and there's a knee breaker. The Anvil having problems getting out of the Gunz brothers' corner. And their sphere of influence. There's a shot, there's a, oh, what a shot right there, and then down to the canvas one more time, and another leg snap from El Jefe. The Anvil counters, gets back up on his feet, and is definitely beating it out of town, and turns it over to the excellence of execution, Bret the Hitman Hart, for his first action in this matchup. Bret whipped to the corner by El Jefe. El Jefe moves in, climbs up onto the middle rope, and he's going to lay in 10-count punches on Bret the Hitman Hart. And the crowd here in Hershey going crazy. Jim the Anvil Neidhart looking on as Bret finds his way out of danger with El Jefe. Bret drives a knee into the head of Ray Gunz, follows that up with a stomp to the back of the head. Bret the Hitman Hart drives another knee into the head of El Jefe. He rolls to the outside. I think he's had quite enough. Jim the Anvil Neidhart looking on as Bret the Hitman Hart does a little showing off, and there goes Mr. Ringside, courtesy of the shoulder tackle. El Jefe moves back into the ring, gets caught from behind by Bret the Hitman Hart. Belly to back suplex from the Hitman. Here comes Jim the Anvil Neidhart again. El Jefe rolls up but catches a running knee before he can stand up. Jim the Anvil Neidhart misses with the knee as El Jefe quickly gets out of the way. Oh, the Anvil puts on the brakes, delivers a headbutt to El Jefe, gets a hold on him, gets a hold of the trunks, has him up. Vertical suplex from Jim the Anvil Neidhart. Neidhart covers and hooks the leg. 1, 2, but again, no, a near fall. El Jefe getting the shoulder up. Jim the Anvil Neidhart drives a hard knee into the midsection, a clubbing double axe handle across the back of Ray Gunz. Here comes Bret the Hitman Hart again. Bret moves in quickly, misses his grapple. El Jefe gets a hold on him, rounds him up, and there's a backbreaker, a knee right across the back of Bret the Hitman Hart. The Hitman back up to a standing position. El Jefe takes him down to the canvas too. And now into that spinning toe hold. Texas cloverleaf, whatever you want to call it. But he is stretching the leg of Bret the Hitman Hart, also working towards a figure 4 leg lock later on down the match. El Jefe slams the head of Bret the Hitman Hart into the canvas, and here comes Mr. Ringside Eddie Gunz again. Bret the Hitman Hart still recovering from Ray's attack, and into the heel hook stretch one more time. The Gunz brothers working extremely efficiently. They've had the momentum on their side for most of this matchup so far. Here comes El Jefe again. Bret the Hitman Hart standing there waiting for him. El Jefe catches a kick to the midsection. Bret the Hitman Hart locks him up. The Hitman escorting El Jefe towards his team's corner. He is resisting, but it's no use. Head first into the turnbuckle goes El Jefe. Here comes the Anvil. Up on the top rope. Assisted flying crossbody from the Anvil to El Jefe. Laid out center ring, and here's some retaliation for you. Face first into the canvas. Nose first goes El Jefe, courtesy of Jim the Anvil Neidhart. The Anvil gets a hold on El Jefe. Escorts him towards the Hart Foundation corner. Head first into his turnbuckle. Here comes Bret the Hitman Hart. Here comes a double team incoming for El Jefe. Hard whip to the ropes. Woof! Double elbows. As Bret the Hitman Hart goes after Eddie Gunz, but gets quickly countered. El Jefe rolls to the outside. A shoulder from Bret the Hitman Hart puts both Gunz brothers out on the floor. The Hitman rolls to the outside, goes right back to work on El Jefe Ray Gunz. The referee counted. A knee driven right into that hard floor by Bret the Hitman Hart. Mr. Ringside Eddie Gunz still recovering from that shoulder tackle. There's a right, there's another right from El Jefe. El Jefe rolls Bret the Hitman Hart back inside the ring. Mr. Ringside still recovering as El Jefe catches a kick to the midsection from Bret the Hitman Hart. The Hitman whips Ray to the ropes. Kitchen sink knee to the gut. And here comes Jim the Anvil Neidhart again. Mr. Ringside back at his tag corner, and just in time to make the tag. And he moves in on the Anvil. The Anvil rounded up, hard whip to the ropes. And there's a nice hip toss from Mr. Ringside. Eddie Gunz catches a shot to the midsection from Jim the Anvil Neidhart. Neidhart rounded up again by Mr. Ringside. Up over the shoulders of the fireman's carry, hung up on the top rope. Followed up with a stomp to the midsection. El Jefe nowhere to be seen. The Anvil delivers an elbow to the midsection of Mr. Ringside, all the way up and all the way down, face first into the mat. Jim the Anvil Neidhart tagging in Bret the Hitman Hart. Mr. Ringside back to a standing position, swing and a miss from Bret the Hitman Hart with the clothesline. He catches a shot to the back. Mr. Ringside whips him to the far right corner. There's a knee to the midsection. Down goes Bret the Hitman Hart, and a blatant choke from Mr. Ringside, who definitely has never had good feelings about Bret the Hitman Hart. The Hitman catching a hard haymaker right there from Eddie Gunz. Eddie Gunz snaps the arm on the Hitman. The Hitman rounded up to a standing position. Hard right spins him around. Mr. Ringside goes behind, tags him with a hard shot to the back, goes behind again, does it one more time. The Hitman whipped into the corner. Whoa, look at this. Just absolutely just using him like a speed bag. Bret the Hitman Hart taken down into a seated position in the corner and right back into that choke one more time. Again, Mr. Ringside and Bret the Hitman Hart will never go bowling together. Eddie Gunz again snapping the arm of the excellence of execution. Bret the Hitman Hart on the defensive big-time hard lefts to the head of Bret the Hitman Hart. A disrespectful slap across the face for the coup de grace. As Bret rolls to the outside, Mr. Ringside on the top turnbuckle changes his mind about the high-risk maneuver, deciding to go after Jim the Anvil Neidhart. Instead, tags him with a right, hangs him up the top rope, down goes the Anvil. Mr. Ringside slides out of the ring, slides back in for a quick reset. Bret the Hitman Hart wrong-footed, but whoa. Here we go, locked into the abdominal stretch by Bret the Hitman Hart. And he's trying to get a submission, but I don't think it's going to work. Mr. Ringside with elbows to the leg of the Hitman follows it up with a hip toss, and he is disengaged from the abdominal stretch. Here comes El Jefe again. Bret the Hitman Hart back to a standing position, catches a right, gets spun around, and Ray Gunz, battered and bleeding, taking the Hitman into a sleeper hold. The referee checking on Bret the Hitman Hart. Hey, El Jefe's got it locked in. Jim the Anvil Neidhart having to come to the rescue of his partner. But El Jefe, right there waiting for him, has him all the way up for a long vertical suplex, practically piling him on top of Bret the Hitman Hart. The Anvil counters with a dragon screw, taking El Jefe down to the canvas. The Anvil making his way tentatively to his corner. Bret the Hitman Hart still laid out face down as El Jefe drags him by the wrist and ankle towards center ring, possibly for a pin, possibly for a submission. Uh-oh, here we go, El Jefe. Definitely smelling blood in the water here. Bret the Hitman Hart with an impressive counter. An elbow right to the arm of El Jefe, a kick to the chest. And just like that, the Hitman out of danger, turning it over to Jim the Anvil Neidhart. Ray Gunz catches a kick from the Anvil, a double axe handle across the back, and a clothesline to the back of the head. The Anvil opening up with right hands to the back of the head of El Jefe. El Jefe counters, slams Jim the Anvil Neidhart face first into the canvas. Dead center ring, here comes Mr. Ringside Eddie Gunz again. Jim the Anvil Neidhart standing center ring waiting for him. They charge, they collide, no result, they lock up. Mr. Ringside with the neck breaker on Jim the Anvil Neidhart. And here's another quick pin. 1, 2. But again, no, Jim the Anvil Neidhart getting the shoulder up in time. He charges, misses his move. El Jefe looking on as Mr. Ringside whips him to the ropes and fails to connect with the knee, but connects with a kick to the midsection, follows that up with a clothesline, still taking the Anvil down. And here comes El Jefe Ray Gunz again, the Anvil making his way to safety, tags in Bret the Hitman Hart. El Jefe falls flat on his face, I'm not sure what that was about. Goes behind on Bret the Hitman Hart, and there's a back suplex to the Hitman. Again, Mr. Ringside tagged in, frequent tags, a hallmark of the Gunz brothers. The crossbody from Bret the Hitman Hart fails to find the mark, catches a spine buster from Mr. Ringside, another pin. 1, 2, and again no. Bret the Hitman Hart refusing to give up the ship here. Outside on the apron, using the ropes to get himself stood up, Mr. Ringside. Right there, but oh, look at this. Double axe handle to El Jefe, fails to find the mark. Bret the Hitman Hart going after El Jefe out of pure frustration, if nothing else. Makes his way back inside the ring. Mr. Ringside catches a couple of hard rights from the Hitman. Double arm suplex, and here's a pin. 1, but no, just a 1. The Hitman moves in on Mr. Ringside, delivering hard lefts to the midsection of Bret the Hitman Hart. A double throat chop puts Bret against the ropes. Over the top rope, out onto the floor goes Mr. Ringside as Bret the Hitman Hart turns his attention to El Jefe, tags him with a hard right hand, follows it up with another right, and it ends a drop kick that takes him out to the floor. El Jefe currently out of commission as Mr. Ringside makes his way back inside, and there's an uppercut from Bret the Hitman Hart. Mr. Ringside countering with a kick to the head, back on his feet, delivers a kick to the midsection of Bret the Hitman Hart. He is setting it up. The flatliner, there it is. The flatliner laid out Bret the Hitman Hart. Here's a pin attempt. 1, 2. Barely just a 1. Bret the Hitman Hart with amazing resilience getting the left shoulder up. Mr. Ringside with a stomp right to the face of Bret the Hitman Hart. Gathered up slowly to a standing position. There's a discus punch taking the Hitman down. The Hitman starting to take a lot of punishment at the hands of the Gunz brothers. Bret the Hitman Hart laid out face down near the corner. Mr. Ringside takes himself to the top turnbuckle. Elbow across the back of Bret the Hitman Hart. It wasn't pretty, but it was effective. The Hitman slammed face first into the canvas. Mr. Ringside going for the pin again, but Jim the Anvil Neidhart right there to save the match for his team. Mr. Ringside with a chop across the chest, a right, a left to Bret the Hitman Hart, a double choke lift and slam down to the canvas as Mr. Ringside takes it to his corner. Here comes Jim the Anvil Neidhart again. Mr. Ringside takes him over the top rope, out onto the floor. Wow, Mr. Ringside Eddie Gunz with suffused with a whole new set of confidence, courtesy of that Memphis Million win in December. Back up to a standing position is Mr. Ringside. Bret the Hitman Hart looking on. Jim the Anvil Neidhart locks it up with Mr. Ringside, winds him up. There's a clubbing blow right to the chest of Mr. Ringside. The Anvil rounding up Mr. Ringside again. A hard right spins him around. The Anvil locking it in here. Cobra clutch time. Jim the Anvil Neidhart counter. Mr. Ringside finding his way out of the Cobra clutch. There's a clothesline. And here's another pin. 1, 2. A lot of pins, a lot of attempted pins, and a lot of near falls in this matchup. More than halfway done. Mr. Ringside tags in El Jefe. The Anvil standing center ring. There's a kick and a miss. A right from El Jefe. The Anvil whipped to the ropes. There's a kitchen sink knee to the gut. Spinning Jim the Anvil Neidhart over. Here comes Mr. Ringside again. The Hart Foundation unable to tell if they're coming or going. The frequent tags of the Gunz brothers and their high aggression is definitely making it very hard for the Hart Foundation. Mr. Ringside up on the top turnbuckle as Jim the Anvil Neidhart makes his way to a standing position. Here he comes, double axe handle right across the head of Jim the Anvil Neidhart. The Anvil rounded up again, another kick to the midsection. He's going to nail him with the flatliner too. One wasn't enough, there's a second one to the Anvil. Bret the Hitman Hart took one, the Anvil's taken one, and here's another pin. 1, 2. I would have been convinced this match would have been over right there, but somehow Jim the Anvil Neidhart powering out of that flatliner. Here comes El Jefe Ray Gunz again. The Anvil trying to get back to a standing position. Mr. Ringside looking on as El Jefe sets up the pile driver on the Anvil and nails it. The Anvil catching the full effect of the pile driver as Mr. Ringside makes his way back inside. A flatliner, a pile driver. What more can they do to the Anvil? A throat chop, a right, another right. A jawbreaker from Jim the Anvil Neidhart countering Mr. Ringside. All the way up, all the way down again. Face first into the canvas goes Mr. Ringside. Here comes Bret the Hitman Hart. Less than 5 minutes to go in this matchup, and it has been insane. Definitely one of the best matchups we've seen tonight. Bret the Hitman Hart with a shot to the midsection and a standing drop kick takes Mr. Ringside down and out to the floor. Jim the Anvil Neidhart also laid out. Bret the Hitman Hart doing quite a bit of showboating here as he charges, goes through the top. Oh, wow. Right through the middle ropes, taking down Mr. Ringside on the outside. There's a right, there's another right, there's a third, there's a fourth, there's a fifth, there's a sixth. My God. A fireman's carry from the Hitman. He is furious. There's a stomp to the head of Mr. Ringside. A driving knee into the back of the head. Bret the Hitman Hart on a whole new gear at this point. Rolls Mr. Ringside back inside the ring, and it looks like the Hart Foundation might have a chance to pick up a win here. Bret the Hitman Hart smelling blood in the water for sure. Here it comes. He's going to lay in the sharpshooter on Mr. Ringside. Dead center ring with no ropes to get to, no means of egress. Mr. Ringside in big trouble. El Jefe making the save for his team. And Bret the Hitman Hart talking trash to Mr. Ringside as Jim the Anvil Neidhart is brought back in on the tag. Mr. Ringside trying to make his way to the corner, but the Anvil is definitely going to get him. Oh, no, he's not. Here comes El Jefe again. Gets a hold, gets slammed face first into the canvas. Mr. Ringside with a kick to the midsection of Jim the Anvil Neidhart before beating it out of town. Whip to the corner goes the Anvil. He counters with both boots to the face of Ray Gunz. El Jefe rounded up for a butt-wrench suplex from Jim the Anvil Neidhart again. The Anvil, now sensing victory could be at hand. He gets a hold on El Jefe, has him up. Beautiful power slam with a pin and a hook of the leg. Here's the ref. 1, 2. But El Jefe powering out of the pin without even an assist from Mr. Ringside. Jim the Anvil Neidhart blatantly choking El Jefe Ray Gunz as he rolls to the outside. The Anvil in hot pursuit. Countered by El Jefe with a right. Another right. El Jefe rounds up the Anvil. Front cradle. Slams him into the lip of the apron and he sinks down like the blob. Bret the Hitman Hart looking on as El Jefe makes his way back inside the ring. El Jefe gonna go after him, but he counters. He saw that one coming. El Jefe, not willing to give up, hangs him up off the top rope again. Both members of the Hart Foundation laid out on their side of the ring. On the outside, here comes Mr. Ringside Eddie Gunz again. Both members of the Hart Foundation, non-compass menace at the present time as the referee continues to count the legal man in the ring. Mr. Ringside taking a long walk around the corner to move in on Jim the Anvil Neidhart. The Anvil one step ahead, takes him down with a chop block behind the knee. Mr. Ringside Eddie Gunz rounded up again. The Anvil gets him back inside the ring, and something's got to give with less than 2 minutes to go in this matchup. Mr. Ringside back up on his feet, slides back out after Jim the Anvil Neidhart gets a hold on him, rolls him back inside the ring. The Anvil making his way to a standing position. Here comes Mr. Ringside. Clothesline fails to find the mark. The Anvil with a knee to the midsection of Mr. Ringside. Eddie Gunz countered with elbows to the midsection of the Anvil. The Anvil locked up by Mr. Ringside. There's another neckbreaker drop from Eddie Gunz. Jim the Anvil Neidhart favoring that neck. And here comes El Jefe Ray Gunz with about a minute to go. Something's just got to give. Whoa, what a neckbreaker. And here's a pin. 1, 2. Bret the Hitman Hart saving the match for his team with less than 1 minute to go. We may be looking at a time limit draw here, people. There's a stomp right to the sides of the face of Jim the Anvil Neidhart. El Jefe Ray Gunz with a hard shot to the body. Oh, and look at this. Mr. Ringside working on Bret on the outside. The Anvil whipped to the corner. Here comes El Jefe. There's a clothesline. Down goes the Anvil into the corner. By the ankles, alley-oop assisted out of the corner. Here comes another pin from Ray. 1, 2. And that is it. The Gunz brothers picking up this win at the 11th hour.
Here's the time, 19 minutes and 38 seconds. And your winners, the Gunz brothers.
Well, how about this one? El Jefe pulling it off again with just 23 seconds to go, picking up the win over Bret the Hitman Hart and Jim the Anvil Neidhart. The Hart Foundation, the Gunz brothers, definitely with a new winning attitude in 2026. And let's see where it takes them for the rest of the year. Ladies and gentlemen, we will be back with our main event. T-Dog Tomasio facing Jinder Mahal in just a moment.